the space we're in is very AI driven, but I also noticed that the rest of the world is not so. How do you see these things affecting society more broadly?
Something that I always joke about is AI needs a better PR team,
It certainly does.
because there's an enormous amount of fear and uncertainty. And I really understand that, right? I mean, Meta just announces they're letting 8,000 people go, and that's a technology business, right? I think
Yeah.
that labor shifts are going to have a lot of negative externalities, and they're going to happen a lot faster than they did, for example, during the Industrial Revolution. And even then, there were Luddites, right, who said that it was going to be the worst thing to ever happen to the world, and it was one of the best from an economic development standpoint and socioeconomic development standpoint. But there are absolutely going to be negative externalities to it, and so I think that organizations on the one hand and certainly governments on the other have a responsibility to think about bringing people along with them and evolving how people engage with the world, but not doing so in a way where it's either technology or humans, right? It can't be binary. And I think right now a lot of the conversation feels very binary, that if AI wins, people lose, when in so many facets of our lives that lack equity or equality in either case, AI can be a factor that changes that. So I hope that people are willing to embrace more nuance, but I really do acknowledge why there is a lot of fear and uncertainty, because there is an enormous amount of uncertainty, and the unknown is a scary thing for most people.
It is a scary thing because you can only see the downside. It's impossible to see like what this new job would be, particularly if you're one of those 8,000 employees.
Right, exactly.
Somewhat reflecting on that, it was my son's first birthday on Monday.
Happy birthday to him. How
Thank you.
sweet.
He's a very
So,
happy boy.
so thrilled for you guys.
Thank you. I'm just trying to work out what his life's going to be. Not that I need to actually plot it for him, but what should I be most excited about, do you think? Apart from the fact he's a wonderful boy, but just,
That yeah, right, he's gonna do things that you and I can't possibly fathom right now, right? Like he'll look
yeah,
back at he'll watch this conversation and think, "Oh my God, you guys didn't talk about anything important because of how the world looks today," right?
yeah.
Something that I'm actually incredibly excited about, and I hope that and I don't have children yet, but I'm hoping by the time your children are of school age and then I have children who are school age, this will be a reality, is personalized learning. If you think about education systems, not only in the UK, I'm thinking globally. I mean, grew up and studied in the US. School is built for the average student, for the middle of the
Yeah,
bell
really
curve,
is.
someone who's very good at memorizing information and learning the way that all the textbooks have taught things for decades, right? And so if that makes sense to you, fabulous. If something doesn't, perhaps you're a more visual learner and you're in your, algebra class, that's going to be hard. Or maybe something makes sense incredibly quickly and you want to accelerate and think about implications beyond just, simple sine and cosine. But the class is back here and you have to sort of sit and now you get bored and you wait. And so if you're at either end of the spectrum, either you're struggling through something or you're really extraordinary, our current education system doesn't serve you in any way, shape, or form. And that can be incredibly detrimental over time. That can compound. And so something I love thinking about is, and by the way, the pressure on teachers is enormous, right? There's a teacher in a room with 30 kids and every kid learns differently. How are they supposed to manage that kind of environment? And so
You've got an average of like 2 minutes per child over an hour. Like, how's that going to work?
it's impossible. And so something I think about enormously is VCs, right? You want to spend as much time as possible on founders. The best teachers really want to be able to sit and focus on with students that need them, wherever they are on this particular bell curve. And so something I envision is, can you imagine a world in which a student's primary teacher is a system, an AI system that learns how they learn,
Yeah.
right? For example, maybe I am a more visual learner. And so instead of showing me an equation, maybe I like to see a story that helps me understand differential equations, right? Like, and thus I am able to be incredibly successful in my math class because that's how I learn. Whereas somebody else who loves an equation really struggles in reading comprehension. So maybe they need to deeply understand sentence structure because that'll help them understand what a story is trying to tell them based on how words are put together, right? There are so many ways that people learn. And I love the idea of a system not only teaching you information, but teaching it to each student in a way that allows them to be most successful. So I hope that for your son, I hope that for my future children, that each of them will be able to learn even more in their school years, and that whatever their schooling experience, whether that happens in schools or universities still exist. Like, couldn't possibly tell you, but I'm actually very hopeful because I think our current system doesn't serve most people. And there are some brilliant, brilliant young minds that deserve to feel empowered and not held back. I'm thinking back to my calculus teacher in high school who used this, we don't have to go into this, but used something called the Harkness method to teach calculus. And I thought at the time, how ridiculous is this? Because the Harkness method assumes you teach each other in a classroom setting and through conversation. And it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. He was one of my favorite teachers. He wrote my college recommendation. And his name was Mr. McCord. He's certainly not watching this. But I think, we're quite myopic when we think about how things should be done. And I'm hopeful that AI is going to force everybody to take a step back and think about the ways things could be and if they could potentially be better.
Yeah, they certainly could be.